All the retirees in the box, please. All the retirees in the jury box, please. Everyone else take a seat, please. Thank you.
Should I close the door? All right. All right, there. Everyone ready?
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. This Circuit Court of the 11th Judicial Circuit in and for Miami-Dade County is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lucian Sapie presiding. All persons having business before this court, come nigh and you shall be heard. God save the United States of America and this honorable court.
Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon, family, friends, colleagues, past and present, and to all of our virtual guests. Welcome to this biannual judicial retirement ceremony, backed by popular demand after a COVID-19 hiatus. Today, we honor all the judges who've retired here since our last ceremony, which was in 2018, presided over by Chief Judge Emeritus Bertila Soto, and those that will be retiring before the end of this year. And please, if you can all stand, we're going to now be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by my bailiff and decorated Marine and Vietnam War vet, Larry Chester.
I pledge allegiance
And now, if you can continue to remain standing as we welcome someone who needs no introduction, our past chief, Chief Judge Emeritus. Some say I need to say Chief Judge Emerita. There's been a big debate on that. Bertie Soto.
I kind of feel like I should be looking at them, but I don't know. But I don't know if there's a retiree on the camera. So, bow your heads. Here's a reflection. This is where your life has arrived. Look back with graciousness and thanks on all your great and quiet achievements. You stand on the shore of new invitation to open your life to what is left undone. Let your heart enjoy a different rhythm when drawn to the wonders of other horizons. Have the courage for a new approach to time. Allow it to slow until you find freedom, to draw alongside the mystery you hold, and befriend your own beauty of soul. Now is the time to enjoy your heart's desire, to live the dreams you've waited for, to awaken the depths beyond your work, and enter into your infinite source. And that was not written by me. That was written by John Donahue, and I want to make sure I have no copyright violations. Please be seated. Chief, will you give me a minute to say something? Okay. Well, I don't have, this was a hard speech to think about, and I feel like I need to talk to you, and I'm sorry. I want to thank you for asking me to speak today. because I missed giving my last goodbye to my colleagues. And I'm happy that all of you are here, our friends and family members. It's humbling to know that I have had the gift of working with all of you. When I first started coming to these things, I didn't know everyone that was retiring, but now I do. And I know how important and how wonderful and how lucky we are to have had you at the 11th Judicial Circuit. For some of you, this was a moment you've been waiting for. Some of you wanted to be abuelitas, some of you wanted to be mediators, to hopefully take time off and dedicate your time to those endeavors you hold dear. On your time and on your schedule. You have earned this. And for others, this is a turning point in your lives. It may not be what you wanted or expected, but Cubans say, lo que pasa conviene. And that means what happens is convenient. And we don't know the mystery of why things happen to us and why change comes to us. But usually, later on, you understand why it happens. And I have every faith that those of you who wonder why will have an answer soon, and you'll find your way in this world. We look forward to seeing all of the things you do and how far you go. And remember that your court family will never leave you and will always be with you in your endeavors. I know I've said this before, and if you've heard me speak at another ceremony, 25 years and 11 months ago, not that I'm counting, I was probably at a retirement ceremony like this, thinking this would never be me, I'm way too young, and thinking, God, look at all these old, intelligent, intellectual judges. I can never be one of those. And here I am, really close to probably being over there someday. I'm not in drop, no rumors, just in case. And thinking, wow, what do I do when I'm you? And I think I'll do what you're doing, retiring with grace and honor and behaving the way you've behaved and doing what you do in our community, even though you're not sitting with us every day. Although I do encourage you to be a senior judge. We need all the senior judges we can get that are competent. You all qualify, please come back. I know that there's so many of you that have to speak, but I want to thank you for what you've done. You know, I thought, should I talk about every single one of you and give a pearl of what you've done? But every single one of you have done something great. And we all know that because we've watched you and we were your colleagues. We are honored not just to call you colleagues, but I know I can call you friend. And whenever we have to call on you, we call on you. And you've always been there. And we hope to be there for you. So finally, I want you all to know that you should be proud of your work, the person you are, and the difference you made at the 11th Judicial Circuit. Thank you so much.
So, not to be outdone by investitures, on this day we also have some very special guests, and actually many of them are our court family that have returned. Welcome back, Karen and Larry Schwartz. Where are they? And they were veterans of the county court and circuit court. Welcome back. I know we've got a VIP, she doesn't want me to do this, but veteran of our county court and circuit court, and now the People's Court, Marilyn Milian. I tried to get her to headline and like be my featured act here today, but she turned it down. And also I want to welcome back, and also I'm going to say this person is welcomed back, but also representing the backbone of our court, the administrative office of the court, Sandy Lonergan. Sandy looks like she's taken about 15 years off in the 3 months she's been gone. And I don't know if you guys have seen Deirdre lately. Deirdre, poor thing, is shriveling up. Soto's getting younger, and yeah, not happening here. That's the way it goes. But Sandy, thank you so much for being part of this, because so many of these judges worked with you in your tenure, and so many of them retired on your watch as well. I also want to give a shout out to Alex Camp, who's here representing Administrative Office of the Courts present, And also, I think I saw Pat Gladson, our general counsel. And I think it's fitting on an occasion like this where it really is, mostly family in the courtroom to recognize, I think all of you know how lucky we are to have our AOC, how lucky we are to have our AV team and sites and all the people that work so hard to let us be able to go into our courtrooms and do what we do. I know it doesn't always work well, but I got to tell you, from the seat that I have now, and I listened to her telling me this for 8.5 years, and I didn't always buy it. Now, from my vantage point, it's amazing that we do so many things as well as we do. And I just want to point one other thing out, because this is the legacy that you all are leaving now as well. Periodically we speak to visitors, across the state and across the country. And I usually will talk about something that we're doing and think about something that I want us to be able to do better. And the one thing that's been told to me so many times, and it makes me feel great, is that you don't realize how well you all are doing in Miami and how you're just ahead of the curve. So thank you to all the people who work so hard to keep us ticking and to keep us going. I joke around, the judges, it's funny, I'm not going to say who, but some of the judges coming in don't even know all the new judges that are here. And that's because we've had a ton of turnover. But the one thing that's consistent is our AOC, and the one thing that keeps us going is having a solid AOC, so thank you for that. I also want to welcome President of the Miami-Dade Bar, Roger Slade. And past president and family of a retiree, Jane Muir. And just thank you for all the support you give to the judiciary, and thank you for this little pilot project we have with refreshments out here. Thank you for that. And this is the first retirement ceremony that we've had in 4 years. When you think of all the changes that have occurred since then, it is really astounding. For those of you, and I know some of you have come back and haven't been back for a while, I don't know if you noticed there's a building across the street. Thanks to the hard work of Judge Soto and Judge Bailey and so many others, they're on floor number 15, which is amazing, and it looks like it's actually, I think it's more than halfway up, and it's more than halfway done. We're looking at it 2024, so actually I'm thinking, let's all cross our fingers that the next time we have a retirement ceremony, it'll hopefully be in that new courthouse. It'll be amazing. I also don't know, I gotta point this out. Have you all noticed, those of you who work downtown, those little robot things? They're all over the place now, yeah. So that's a new thing too, since you all have left. Now there are robots doing deliveries in downtown Miami. It is very surreal, and yeah, just throwing that out there. We also, in addition to all the Zoom that we're doing, we now have a YouTube channel, so we can share these moments with families and friends near and far, virtually, thanks to our sites. And our AV team, and we can actually, the funny thing is recently we're like, do we still need to give out CDs? We don't need to give out CDs anymore because you'll be able to go back and look at this on YouTube in perpetuity. I was going to say the DVD or the VCR tapes that we used to get. I think my first investiture is on a VCR tape, and for my young judges, a VCR tape is a big tape that preceded the DVDs. Yeah. So Soto, you're right. Of the beta, yeah. So now we're definitely aging ourselves. So yeah, those 25 years go by fast. Anyway, I'd like to invite up here now for remarks on behalf of retiring judges, the fabulous Judge Diane Ward, retired circuit judge. Not today.
Okay. Good morning. All right, Chief Judge Nushin Safi, it's nice saying that. And Chief Judge Emeritus Bertie Soto, my esteemed colleagues on the 11th Judicial Circuit, both present and past, members of the bar, court staff, which include bailiffs, judicial assistants, clerks, everyone that makes us work well and look good, members of the bar, and members of our community. Thank you for joining us here today. We're here to recognize the distinguished careers of judges who have retired after years of service on the 11th Judicial Circuit. Today, I, along with 11 other circuit court judges, are being recognized for service in terms lasting between 10 and 35 years. Today, shortly after I took the bench in 2003, as I was getting fitted for my new robes, I ran into Judge Sam Slom, who is also one of the judges being honored today. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. But he had been he's being honored for his 23 years of service as the administrative judge of the county court. And I ran into Judge Slom, and he said to me, came up beaming the way he used to do, and he looked at me and he said, "Don't you just love this job? This is the greatest job in the world." And I'm sure many of you who had contact with Judge Slom when you were new judges, he did the same thing. I mean, that was his mantra. And it went on for about another 10 or 15 years. Every time I saw him, he'd say the same thing. And more on that later. Now, of the 11 judges that are being honored today for their retirement, we have 2 judges that are the more veteran judges. There's 2 judges that have a combined experience of 70 years on the bench. Judge Bernie Shapiro took the bench in 1987, and he was a judge that always had a kind word for all the new judges, always welcomed you into his chambers, a real good guy. And then there was Celeste Muir, who's with us today. Judge Celeste Muir is the longest serving judge of those judges being honored today. She took the bench in 1987. And by all outward appearances, she always seemed very reserved, very prim and proper, until you got to see the other side of Judge Muir. When she was leaving the parking garage every day, you'd see her leaving in that beautiful old restored checker cab. And for those of you who are young lawyers or young judges, you may not know what a checker cab is. Just Google it. But we learned then that Judge Muir was sneaky cool. We all got our assignments in a very sophisticated way that you would imagine would be for this distinguished position that we have. We all went to Judge Farina's courtroom, chambers, those of us who had just been elected, and he took a baseball cap, put it in the center of the table, cut up some pieces of paper, wrote numbers on all of them, and that's how they determined our seniority for the rest of our career. I went to juvenile along with Judge Ivan Fernandez and Judge Sarah Zabel. And I got to say, we kind of went there reluctantly because we'd never been there before and we didn't really have a real positive attitude about it. But I got to say, we all quickly became so impressed with the judges that were working over there. And under the leadership of Judge Cindy Lederman and thereafter Judge Orlando Prescott and the guidance of Judge Scott Bernstein, soon the attitudes toward judicial assignments in the Juvenile and Dependency Division changed. And everyone started to realize how important the continuity was. And instead of just using it as a placeholder for when you got to go to a real court, it got the consideration and concern it needed. So in 2000, when Judge Rosa Figueroa took the bench, one of her concerns and one of her assignments was in the Juvenile and Dependency Division. And I think over the years we all learned with great pride at how hard she was working over there, because it is a division where you can make changes in people's lives. And Judge Rosa Figueroa made changes in hundreds of lives in the years that she was in the Juvenile and Dependency Division. And it changed many people's attitudes, because thereafter you started seeing more judges that were assigned there, remaining and staying on for their assignments. In the criminal division, we had a number of judges who are retiring today. And in the state of Florida, the criminal division in Miami-Dade County is the largest criminal division in the state. All of those judges are handling, huge hundreds of cases as part of their caseload. And Judge David Tunis, who I sadly is not here today, but she is also one of the judges being honored today. Judge David Tunis took the bench in 2000. Now, like Judge Figueroa, she had also done time in the county court before she was promoted to circuit court. But while there, Judge David Tunis handled major cases in the backup division, where she spent most of her time, major cases, trials that lasted weeks with dozens of witnesses, very emotional cases, and she did that for many years. And even though she was small of stature, she was a workhorse. Judge Schlesinger, John Schlesinger, took the bench in 2005. And we quickly realized that he was also another workhorse. He seamlessly moved from different divisions, and I had the honor of being able to practice next door to him when he was assigned to the criminal division, because our chambers were right next to each other. Now, Judge Stan Blake was the chief judge when the administrative judge in criminal when I first started. Then it was Nushin Saifi, who is now, no, the administrative judge. Oh, that's right. I am so sorry. Stan Blake, Bertie, then you went over here and we missed you, and then I know. That's crazy. So, but what they all emphasized is the importance of judicial education, which isn't emphasized in a lot of places. But it's so important that, and they all said, take the time off, go to these conferences and the classes, learn and be educated and learn and keep current on what you need to do, but also get to know other people, other judges around the state. So at the judicial conferences, it's also a time when everybody decided in one weekend to get back to the gym. And I remember going there and I would see Judge Schlesinger there working out on that rowing machine and all the different machines. I do my little thing on the treadmill, go off, have breakfast, come back, and he's still there. But I gotta say that in knowing Judge Schlesinger, what I learned was that in spite of all the time he spent in the gym, his biggest muscle was his heart. I always tried to make a point of whenever he had an emotional hearing in his courtroom, for some reason he got a lot of them, but whenever he had an emotional hearing, I would try to stop by during the lunch break, because this was a man that had so much empathy for victims and families and defendants he was sentencing that his empathy was palpable. And you can see it took a chunk out of him every time. So it's an honor to have been a part of Judge John Schlesinger's career. In 2007, John Thornton joined us. And he joined us after having spent years and years with a very prestigious criminal practice. He was assigned to the criminal bench, and within a few years he was promoted to Associate Administrative Judge of Criminal. I'm right there. And then shortly thereafter he went over to the Civil Division. And in the Civil Division, it seemed like he was only there for a blink of an eye when he was promoted to assigned to the Complex Business Division. And you should have seen him. I mean, you'd have thought he'd been doing corporate law all his life, the way he was able to seamlessly go to that division. In 2011, Judge Martin Zilber joined us, and he was a guy that always had a smile on his face. No matter what was going on, you'd see him in the elevator, in the courthouse, he always had a smile on his face. He's the kind of guy that probably could have fun in a phone booth. But when it came time to sitting on the bench and handing out justice, he took his job very seriously. Now, if you're wondering what life is like in retirement, you have no further to look than Judge Jerry Beth Cohen. And she was expected to be here today, but I know that she was having, something came up. She took the bench in 1993. And she retired a couple years ago. And I still see her on occasions. And every time I see her, she's always inviting me to things. But she's not inviting me to, well, let's go have a drink at happy hour, or let's go to the theater. She's inviting me to go march in the Capitol, downtown. And she keeps talking about how happy she is that she has her voice back. And she's not talking about a little choir girl voice. She's talking about a hear my roar voice. So she is loving retirement. Over the past 20 years that I was on the bench and that many of you were, I found that we bonded with each other. Even though we didn't see each other on weekends necessarily or socialize, it's a bond that is going to be with you forever. We stood side by side and shared our sorrow when we lost some of our great brothers and sisters. Judge Henry Leite Vidal, Judge Rob Pinero, Judge Julio Jimenez, Judge Maxine Cohen Landau, and Judge Linda Dacus. All of them we lost while they were still in service to their community. Our leadership on the 11th Judicial Circuit has guided us through so many unexpected obstacles. Former Chief Judge Soto Emeritus, does that work? When she learned that the foundation of this courthouse was crumbling, she put miles on her heels running around town to make sure that we got funding and authorization for a new courthouse. When we were faced with an unexpected financial debacle, Judge Jennifer Bailey devised a plan so that all of us could get through the foreclosure debacle and help the community get through it as well. When the world chose to close down, well, not chose, when the world closed down due to a pandemic worldwide, Chief Judge Nushin Saifi met with members of the bar and the community so that we could keep these courts going. And when the eyes of the world were on our little dot on this planet, as they watched the Champlain Towers fall, Judge Michael Hansman guided dozens of people through the heartbreak and despair toward a just resolution. I proudly tell people, now that I'm in retirement, I'm around a lot of more people, I proudly tell people that they are in good hands. Because right now, there are times when everyone's a little concerned about the different branches of government, and I let them know that no matter what, you can always count on the judicial branch. And the judges on the 11th Judicial Circuit are the best judges in the state. And Sam Slom, and if Sam Slom were to walk into this courtroom, you know exactly what he would do. He'd look you all in the eye and say, "Don't you just love this job? This is the greatest job in the world. Thank you for letting me be a part of this great body of judges."
Thank you so much, Judge Ford. It's so funny because whenever I see Diane, I have so many memories having been a public defender before I was a judge. I've been a judge now for 15 years of everybody. But I always think of Diane, and I don't think about one of the first times I ever met her when Lourdes was a PD with me, and I had to go cover a case for her in front of Diane Ward, and I was like, what? Because your reputation was we were a little scared of you, and now I think, oh, what was I so scared? But I walked into court, and I was like, didn't scare easy, but that was a scary day. And then once we worked together all the time, I'm like, that's just so scary at all. Anyway, for further comments on behalf of the retiring judges, I welcome up here Judge Ed Newman, who I can't say his name without, especially because my kids are so fascinated by the fact that I get to work with someone who's not just a one-time but two-time Super Bowl winner. And it's been a big topic of conversation this year because the Dolphins are doing well. So I feel like this is a good omen.
Thank you, Judge Lee. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to all the staff, all the friends, Andy, Kathy. Nice to see you. Chief Judge, Judge Soto, Emeritus. It's really a pleasure to be here. I am a little surprised, actually. Early in November, I knew I was retiring, and I got an invitation from Judge Saifi early November, are you attending the retirement ceremony, and would you say a few remarks? Frankly, folks, I don't think I've had 50 words with Judge Safety before that. I thought it was a call to the principal's office. Anyway, okay. You're asking me if I should speak, and you want me to make some short remarks on behalf of all the retirees. Why? Maybe because I have 28 years and I've seen a few things. You know, I've been through a few retirement ceremonies. And maybe because I played 12, 13 years with the Miami Dolphins. And it was a career that I loved so much, and it broke my heart to leave it. I was destroyed leaving it, and I feel as ambivalent about this job. So the short remarks can come from a genuine place. Okay, I'm a representative for all the retirees right now. I want to make a couple of remarks for the people. Well, some of us are still active, right? Your vote counts. All right, I propose that we eliminate the 1-year wait period for go right into retirement. We have active powers as judges. Why don't we sign an order? We can try that. Anyway, that would be, sounds like a lot of confidence to me. 1-year separation. Well, what do you think this is? All right. Now shifting to another subject, because I know the state has to proceed. And I believe the other are going to be sharing a few words, so I don't want to take too much time. I want you to know that I have applied for continuing legal education credits for you all. And my objective today is to teach you, retirees, it's a specialized program on how to say goodbye. All right, what you need to do now is you have to know the elements of a retirement speech. And it's pretty basic. You have the time before your investiture. You have the span from your investiture to your retirement. And if you want, you can talk about what happens after you retire. You know, if you want. You don't have to do that one. That one is optional. It's an opportunity to do a very, very important thing. Thank the people who brought you here. Kathy, my wife, is here. Anybody that knows us, she is my twin. She's been joined at the hip. My secret weapon has gotten me through all of these years, and dear friend, and I have so many of you that I want to share. You got to share with the folks that got you into office. There were campaigns, there were events with lawyers. I just saw Herman Rosimono, former bar president, and what a great opportunity in this building. I worked as a lawyer back in the early 90s, and I've been doing it a long time. So thank the people that got you here, and they're so numerous. How about the Miami Dolphins? Those people got me there. How about those Miami Dolphins? There's a little more to talk about, but Don Shula, all the greats, Larry Zonka and Bob Greasy, all my offensive line buddies, Larry Little, I'm going to a party with him tonight, as a matter of fact. Just a wonderful opportunity. There's a lot of parallels there. I mean, we used our heads in both fields, football and judging. So you can carry some of those things over. Now the things, this is, that got me there. I want to recognize my brother-in-law, my wife's brother, Andy Leinoff. Many of you know him. He's instrumental in getting me into law school, and it was a career change for me. And he's also instrumental in helping me become a judge. Michael Jenin, former Judge Michael Jenin, was also a big part of that, and I would be wrong if I didn't say thank you very much. There have been hundreds of lawyers that have helped me in the campaigns along the way. Now I'm getting into the time in between, from the investiture to now. Okay? Now this is the proudest time. These times are when, my God, they give us responsibility to order society. What an idea. They trust us to do these kinds of things. We know right from wrong. We're somewhat in a channel, in a cradle. We're supported by case opinions and rules and other procedures, and it keeps us in line, but there's a lot of discretion here, and it's been mentioned numerous times. This is a Super Bowl crew that we're working with here. You're all pros, 100% of you. We're amazing on how much material we go through, and how just we are, and how professional we are. So we all should be quite pleased with our careers, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in my final comments. The last part is, I've labeled it on the hop, all right? It's a football expression. When you're finished with a practice, you leave on the hop, all right? Now, what I'm talking about is with grace, with speed, with strength, with vitality. You can share what's happening in your future. I know that in December 17th, my wife and I are going to be visiting my grandchildren in Connecticut, and each of you can talk about your plans with that. This is a surprise. I have a book that my daughter and I have put together as a memoir. It's going to be a knockout. It's finished right now, and that's in the works. I hope to use that as a second career, to be kicking off that. So that's really exciting for me. Seeing my family, finding out who I really am when I don't have to go to work, and senior judge status is something that's in the wings as well. Now, on this chapter on the hop, I want to have you all laugh a lot, cry a little, try to minimize that. It's important, to always remember your hearts, and enjoy life. Stay fit and healthy. Keep your minds in good shape. And I want to share it to everybody, the final thought. This is an amazing privilege. I'm shaking. It's like winning the Super Bowl. It's really, really wonderful. Thank you, everybody.
We have said 50 words to each other because we were on a radio show together. Do you remember that? Your wife remembers. Not to mention seeing him sing karaoke and win that contest at the South Miami Kendall Bar. Remember that? Huh?
Went on 64.
Yeah. Brought down the house.
64 on that day, and I remember for the Dolphins was not.
So that's why I asked you to speak. There honestly is really no way to do justice in a ceremony like this to the careers of all of these judges. In this room full of robes right now, it's hard to realize how special we are, right? Because there's so many of us wearing the robe. But it is so special, and I think when we go out there into the community, we realize how special it is, but how blessed we are and how lucky we are that we have the privilege to wear this robe and to serve the people in this capacity. And I think you all are out there as our ambassadors of what we do. So, and you have your voices. And thank you for being the best of us and taking that on. To all of you who are retired or retiring, I know that you no longer need plaques or trophies. Actually, we should start giving out rings. That would probably be better, like a nice that would be kind of cool.
Just call it a gold watch, right?
I know, yeah. Yeah, there's no gold watch. times are a little bit tough. But this still is an occasion that calls for a memento. So please, as I call your name, and Judge Soto, and I think Sandy, you're going to come help me disperse. As I call your name, please come up and accept a gift from the 11th Judicial Circuit, your friends and family. And first, we're going to actually, out of order, Judge Jam Singer. So Judge Jam Singer was not going to be here today, told me he wasn't going to be here today, showed up today. He's on the back of the program because he told me he wasn't going to be here today, but he should be on the front of the program. So you want to come up first, we have your prop. And if I could keep you all standing there after you get your plaque so we can take a photograph. All right, here we go. And then next, we're going to have the Honorable Rosa Figueroa. And I don't know if Rosa says, but Rosa was a circuit judge and a county court judge, as I think Judge Ward mentioned earlier. Judge Scott Janowitz. And Judge Janowitz, in record speed, was an administrative judge, an associate administrative judge in about 30 seconds of being a judge. Thank you. Is Jeff here? Cole? Okay, so, and I will actually have to say for a moment, there is a bunch of judges that are not here that all, and if they're watching on YouTube, they're going to be upset that I didn't pass their messages on, and that's because I had about 20 messages. But I can tell you that with just big hearts and big souls, your former colleagues that have retired really wanted to be here, and for many different reasons could not be here. Judge Levitt, Elijah Levitt. He's moved to the Northern Territories of Broward County. GM Deb Magid. Judge Celeste Muir. Judge Edward Newman.
We won the Super Bowl.
Judge John Schlesinger. Judge John Thornton. My fellow. I went to baby judge's school with John Thornton, and he made me get up at like 5:30 or 6 in the morning and go to the hotel gym. And he was my only friend in judge school, so I did it. Judge Diane Ward. And Judge Martin Zilber. If y'all can cuddle up a little bit so we can get a photo. Thank you all. Yeah.
It's easier to get away when you're...
Right. And before we recess, and as our last gesture and our last salute to you, you all please be seated, but I'm going to ask that everyone here please rise. You all sit. As our last gesture to you, we stand for you. This is the last time, I guess, we'll all be standing for you at this point. Hopefully you'll come back and visit us. And again, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for taking part in this. Thank you for coming back. I think what touched me so much in speaking to all of you in emails and texts and phones is how important it really was for everyone, even those who couldn't come, how touched they were in not being able to come here, and how it made me realize on days when I look at you and God, I really want to be retired. Those are the days when I could see how much love and respect and just good feelings you all had about your careers, and I think that's something that's been contagious to all of us. So thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to honor you. Everyone, now for the instructional part of if we can all assemble, all 100, and I don't even know how many of us there are all here, but all of us please on the Flagler side of the courthouse for the photo. And for those of you who've never done that before, yes, it's a little chaotic and crazy, but it works. So I think the photographer's down there waiting for us if you can all make your way down there. There's also some refreshments outside.